So the origins of Boruto's Jougan has been in question ever since we first learned of its existence, and for good reason. Why did Boruto of all people awaken this dojutsu ability? What made Boruto so special? Up until this point in time, the only logical theory we had so far is that Boruto awakened this dojutsu due to his bloodline being linked to both Hagoromo and Hamura through his mother Hinata and his father Naruto. But after reading chapter 75 of Boruto, I now believe that Naruto and Hinata weren't the main factor in Boruto awakening the Jougan. I think the main factor, or maybe the only factor in Boruto awakening this dojutsu, this special godlike dojutsu, is purely due to the influence of Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA. Now of course the question would be, how did I come to this conclusion? What led me down this path? Well, if you go to chapter 75 of Boruto, it's explained that Shibai Otsutsuki is an Otsutsuki god. He transcended his physical form by absorbing multiple chakra fruits over several millennia and became an all-powerful Otsutsuki. They also explained that Shibai Otsutsuki used a special type of technique called Shinjutsu. And in essence, these are basically jutsus that don't require hand signs, and they're also of a divine nature. They're very powerful. Now just to be clear, it never said that Shibai Otsutsuki is the only user of Shinjutsu. In fact, Momoshiki implied that he also has knowledge on all Shinjutsu abilities, which could also imply that Momoshiki has access to Shinjutsu abilities as well. And to be honest, based on what I've gathered from the chapter, it seems as if every Otsutsuki has access to Shinjutsu abilities. And we've never seen an Otsutsuki use hand signs before, so it just makes sense. What this leads to is Amado saying that the abilities of Ada, Daemon, and Code all come from Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA. This is because Amado somehow has access to Shibai Otsutsuki's body, the body he left behind after he ascended, or maybe died. We don't know for sure, but those are the two possibilities provided by Amado in the chapter. Now the reason why I think that Boruto's Jougan was created using the cells or the DNA of Shibai Otsutsuki is that Daemon and Ada both awakened dojutsu abilities after being modified by Amado using these genetics from Shibai. Now the weird thing about this is that Amado implied that these abilities came directly from Shibai Otsutsuki. The ability to use the Senringan to see the past and the present, and also Daemon's ability to reflect attacks, and also Code's ability to travel through dimensions. He directly implied that these abilities are abilities of Shibai Otsutsuki. It's not that his DNA mutated within Ada and Daemon and created these new abilities. It's implied that these abilities came directly from Shibai Otsutsuki. So what this implies is that if Daemon's ability is linked to his dojutsu, similar to how Ada's ability is linked to her Senringan, which is a dojutsu, this means that these dojutsus manifested from Shibai's DNA. And the weird part about this is that Shibai doesn't appear to have these dojutsus. We did get a panel of Shibai and he seems to have a regular Byakugan, a Renegan, and the other one seems to be Ishiki's dojutsu, but we don't know for sure. So if Shibai doesn't have these dojutsus, why did Ada and Daemon gain these dojutsu abilities or the dojutsu itself using his DNA? Well, I think it could go two ways. It could be that these abilities or these dojutsus manifested due to genetic mutation caused by his DNA mixing with Ada and Daemon's DNA. Or it could be that Shibai Otsutsuki does have access to all of these dojutsus, including the Jougan, which is why he's able to pass them on through his DNA. I mean, the guy did become a god. And that leads us into Boruto's current situation. It could be that Boruto was also modified just like Ada, Daemon, and Code to be able to manifest this Otsutsuki power. And I believe the one who modified Boruto using the genetics of Shibai Otsutsuki is none other than Toneri Otsutsuki. Now, Toneri himself doesn't exist in Boruto's manga. He has never been featured or mentioned by any of the characters. But I believe that that's going to change with the upcoming chapters of Boruto. And I'm basing this theory based on the anime canon episodes within Boruto's anime where we do see Toneri Otsutsuki, where it's directly stated by Oroshiki himself that Toneri did do something to Boruto in an effort to bolster his power to fight against the Otsutsuki.
その女の息子に何かして先手を打っていたつもりかもしれませんけど、付け焼き場ですよ。
We also have Toneri in episode 8 of Boruto saying that Boruto has the Star of Hope and he will shoulder the fate of the world to save humanity from the impending invasion.
The eye you possess is a star of hope against the approaching destruction.
What?
The power of hope slumbers deep within you.
This is also backed up by Momoshiki stating that Boruto carries the Byakugan blood, which could be in reference to Hinata of course, but that could also be in reference to Shibai Otsutsuki since he's an actual Otsutsuki that has Otsutsuki blood, which is tied directly to the Byakugan. And then we have the anime interpretation of this scene where Momoshiki stated that Boruto strongly inherited the powers of the Otsutsuki.
Now I see. It appears you have strongly inherited the powers of the Otsutsuki.
This could also explain why Boruto of all people was compatible with Momoshiki, for Momoshiki to place his karma seal on Boruto. That's because Boruto's body, just like Code, just like Ada, and just like Daemon, was genetically modified using Shibai Otsutsuki's cells. Now of course this didn't work out for Code since Code wasn't able to become Ishiki's vessel, but you know, that could be for some other reason that we'll get into later on in the story of course. Also, the horn that manifests when Boruto goes into his Borushiki state seems to be very similar to Shibai's horn. Now, it's not exactly the same thing, which could be explained by Boruto being mixed with Momoshiki's DNA as well, which would also influence the design of the horn. The reason why I say this is because Boruto's horn doesn't really look the same as Momoshiki's horn, right? Momoshiki's horn is at the top of his head, and it doesn't exactly look the same. But Boruto's horn is protruding from his face, right? So this seems to be the influence of another Otsutsuki. Now you could say that this is due to the influence of Kinshiki's DNA because Kinshiki's horn protruded from his face. But the weird thing about this is that when Momoshiki and Kinshiki fused, which means that their horns collided or combined, they didn't get what Boruto got, right? Momoshiki's horn still stayed at the top of his head and it only grew backwards. So why would Boruto's horn manifest in a different way from fused Momoshiki? I think it's due to the influence of another genetic material, which would be Shibai Otsutsuki's. All in all, I do believe that this would explain why Boruto is so special and talented. Of course, you could link it back to Naruto being all powerful and all that jazz, having access to multiple chakra natures and all that jazz. But of course, you could also link it to Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA being present within Boruto. Because we have to remember, Toneri did do something to Boruto. Boruto didn't just awaken the Jougan on his own. This Jougan manifestation wasn't just the product of Naruto mating with Hinata and mixing the two bloodlines of Hamura and Hagoromo. This was something different. This was something more. And I think it perfectly lines up with what Toneri said about the incoming invasion, these Otsutsuki gods that will descend upon the land. And I also believe that what Toneri is saying about Boruto's future with these gods coming to visit the land and harvest, I think he's referring to the gods above the Otsutsukis, who are technically Otsutskis who have transcended their physical forms, who are now actual gods in the Naruto universe. I believe that what Toneri is referring to here, this invasion, is the same spectacle Momoshiki is referring to when he looks into Boruto's future. The future we saw at the end of Boruto chapter 75 isn't the spectacle that Momoshiki is referring to. I don't think the spectacle that Momoshiki is referring to, that Momoshiki himself, who has been alive for over a millennia, wants to see, has anything to do with some petty squabble between Boruto and Kawaki and the rest of the members on Team 7. I don't think Momoshiki is interested in seeing that. So I think the spectacle Momoshiki is referring to has to be an actual spectacle, something that Momoshiki himself would be interested in seeing. And I think that definitely lines up with what's going to happen with Boruto facing this invasion of the gods above the Otsutsuki. Now, a theory I'm working on right now is that one of these gods is actually Shibai Otsutsuki himself. He's trying to break into this dimension. Now, of course, it would be kind of weird to say that he ascended. He got so powerful that he ascended to a higher dimension, but for some reason he can't enter this dimension because he's not strong enough to break through. I mean, that would be kind of contradictory. Unless there is some mechanic in Naruto's universe that prevents beings of higher existence from a higher dimension from interacting with lower dimensions, or some barrier between both dimensions that prevents each character from crossing over, unless you directly ascend to the higher dimension by becoming too powerful. And this reminds me of the scene where we saw Toneri looking at the cracks in reality itself, like something is trying to break through to come into Boruto's universe, but it can't for some reason. And I think this person might actually be Shibai Otsutsuki, but I don't know for sure. This is just a theory, of course. So you guys can let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the video in general. What do you guys think about about Toneri and Shibai being responsible for Boruto's Jougan. Of course, some people are going to ask you, how did Toneri get access to Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA? And of course, the answer is going to be, I have no idea. The writer can write anything to make it sound plausible. So I'm not going to even worry myself about how Toneri got access to Shibai Otsutsuki's DNA. Anything is possible. But let me know what you think about the idea itself. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Drop a like if you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're new. But above all else, guys, have a great day. Peace out.